Hi guys, my name is Paul. I'm a woodworker. I've been a woodworker for probably, well, over 30 years, I guess. Done a lot of finishing. So today I want to show you a little bit about finishing. Basically how to stain wood and how to do it properly. Staining is probably one of the simplest procedures in woodworking. However, there are a few basic rules that you should follow and a few tips, and I'll be showing you those today. I'm going to be using some scrap wood. I got a couple pieces of scrap here, and keep in mind I don't have a particular project going on right now, so I can't demonstrate to you on a project, but it doesn't matter whether it's a piece of scrap or it's your grandmother's dresser or it's your bar top or whatever it is. It's the same process, so just follow along with me and understand that we're going to be doing the right thing, and I'm going to show you the right way. Let's talk a little bit about what you're going to need to start this project. I did mention sanding. You're going to need sandpaper, some different grits of sandpaper. This happens to be a real heavy grit. I don't know if you can see that. I think you can see that on camera. You can see all the little speckles. This is a real fine grit sandpaper. One's real rough and the other is very light. Wood is fibers, and the fibers need to be smoothed out. Sometimes they raise, something like split ends in your hair. But sometimes they raise, so what we need to take down those raises. We want to prep the surface and make sure it's nice and smooth, so that when we put, after the stain, when we put our finish coat on, we have a nice underlying surface. So whether you use a hand sandpaper, whether you put it on a little cheap rubber block, or whether you use a vibrator sander, you're going to need some type of sandpaper. You'll need tack cloth, because once we start sanding, we're going to create some dust. We don't want to work the dust into the project. We want to get it removed from the project. You're going to need an applicator. Applicators could be a brush. It could be a foam sponge brush, kind of like this, or it could be a sponge. It could be an old rag. It doesn't have to be real good. It's going to be different when we talk about polyurethane and finishing our project. But for putting on stain, it's pretty basic. Some rubber gloves. Stains, and so it'll stain your skin. Obviously you're going to need the stain. You might need a pre-stain conditioner, something that preps the wood for the stain. Not always. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. And I would have some mineral spirits on hand, just so you can clean up your hands and everything else. The other thing is the surface that you're working on. You want to make sure that it's somewhat protected. I'm in my garage shop, so I just put a piece of paper down, but it really doesn't matter. Even if I got the countertop and got some stain on it, there's all kinds of stuff on it over the years, so I'm not too worried about that. But if you're doing a chest of drawers and you happen to be, it's not convenient to take it out of the bedroom, then you want to make sure that you put down a tarp so you don't, because the stain will soak in and it'll be messy. So, okay, the first step is a little bit of light sanding. Sanding, actually, what you want to do is you want to start with the roughest grade of sandpaper. Sanding actually happens in steps. So you start with the roughest grade of sandpaper and work your way up to a finer grit. Let me see, I got an outlet here somewhere. Yeah. Okay. This is going to get a little bit loud while I'm doing this, but I just want you to, what I'm trying to show you is that it doesn't take a lot of time. You don't need to go crazy. If it's a new project, it really doesn't require a whole heck of a lot of sanding. I would still do it in steps. Sandpaper is measured in grits, with the coarser grits being 40 to 80, with the finer grits or the medium grits being 120 to 220, and then with the polishing grits being 300 and up. So this is a 220 grit that I have on here, but this wood is, again, it's for demonstration purposes, so I'm not going to go through all the 3 steps. I'll just take the 1 step. The pine that I'm doing, that I'm going to show you also, I've already done that. So I'm just going to go over the oak. I want you to just pay attention to how long it takes me, because it doesn't take, each course does not take a long, it's not a big process. That's it, pretty simple. Notice I didn't wear a mask. Now, if I were doing some heavy sanding, I would want to wear some protection. But you can see there's a little bit of dust here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that needs to come off of there. So I'm just going to take my tack cloth. Tack cloth is just cheesecloth, but it's been treated, so it has a little sticky substance on it. So what happens is the dust actually, I don't know if you can see that or not, probably not, but the dust actually sticks to the tack cloth, so it takes it off your project. If you have an air compressor and you've got a filter on it so it doesn't put a lot of water, that's also another option that you can use. Okay, so that's pretty good. That's probably good enough for what we need. You don't need to oversand. Again, you just want to make sure that all the scratches are out and all the little hairs that are gone. Okay, I'm going to switch over. There's two types of wood. One is called a hardwood. This happens to be a piece of plywood, but it's got a hardwood surface on it. This is, I think, white oak. And then the others are called softwoods. And softwoods basically come from trees that don't lose their leaves. So they're conifers. They be pine, cedar, fir, and maple falls into that, and some say cherry falls into that. But softwoods have a tendency to blotch. So I'm just gonna quickly show you that. What you want to do is stain. To prep the stain, you shake it up. Shake it real good. Stain if it sits for a while will separate. So you'll have the actual resin in it, which gives it the coloration, and then you'll have the stuff that just holds it, the suspension material, and that's for most stains that'll be mineral spirits. Oh, by the way, I'm going to put some gloves on first. So you want to make sure that that's mixed up real well, because your stain will change colors. If it isn't, if it's too light, if there isn't enough pigment mixed into it, then it's going to be light. Okay, mix, then stir. And now I'm just going to grab a paper towel here. I can feel, you'll feel little kind of lumps on the bottom if it isn't mixed, so, okay, we're just going to do that. Alright, so, watch how I do this. I'm pretty sloppy, but I'm going to put it on pretty liberal here. By the way, if you're staining a vertical surface, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that in a few seconds. You're going to put it on a little bit lighter because the stain is watery and it will run. Now the longer you leave a stain on, the darker it'll get in coloration. So really, I'm not going to leave this on too long because it's more for demonstration purposes. So we don't have to leave it on a whole heck of a long time, but you'll see it soaking in. It does absorb into the wood fibers. So it's already starting to soak in. I can see here there's some spots. So I'm going to wipe it off. And this is good. This will be a good demonstration because I need to show you what happens to soft woods when you apply stain to them. You can see like there's a light area in here, there's a dark area in here around the knots. It kind of gets thick, another dark area, some light areas here. This seems to be a little bit lighter up here. I can see a little lightness in here. So it's uneven, it's not very even, okay? The solution to that is to put on what's called a pre-stain conditioner. Pre-stain conditioner is really just a varnish that's been thinned out ridiculously. So what happens when you put varnish on a wood, it kind of covers the wood. It doesn't, so the stain doesn't absorb as much. So what we're going to do here is this is a pre-stain conditioner. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take, it's already pretty mixed. I just used this a couple days ago. So I'm just going to dip lightly. And I'm going to do the bottom half of this board. I shouldn't be tipping it because it is running. This is real light stuff. I mean, it's pretty watery. It will soak into the wood. Now, the manufacturer has different recommendations for time to leave it on before you start your stain. This one says about 5 to 15 minutes. And I'm going to give you a real important tip that I learned too that the manufacturer doesn't really talk to you about. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut the video off, and I'm going to let that soak because we got about 5 minutes, and I'm sure you just don't want to sit here and look at me, and I don't have a lot. Okay, I'm back. It's had a chance to soak in a little bit, so I don't know if you can see it, but it's still pretty wet. I know it's hard because of the lighting in here, but it's still pretty wet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe off what we've got here. All right, and I'll show you what we're going to do. I'm just going to take some stain and we're going to lay it on. See what happens. So a couple things you should know. Oh, by the way, there's 3 types of stain that consumers would. There's a whole bunch. There's probably about 8 or 9 different types of stain. But there's 3 types of stain that consumers would be interested in. One is an oil stain, which is the most commonly one used for furniture. They have made it so it's water-based now. So you can buy water-based. It's a little more environmentally friendly. However, it does play havoc with the grain in the root. Not really bad, but it does raise the grain a little bit more. Water actually causes split ends, where oil penetrates into the wood, surrounds the fibers, and lubricates them, just like you would put lotion on yourself. So I'm going to leave this sit for a couple minutes. And then the last one's a gel stain, and gel stain's really messy, and I personally I don't know why anybody would use it, but it is available. Stain, it's all about timing. The longer you leave a stain on, the deeper it penetrates, the more saturation, the more color. Stain's supposed to do 2 things. It's supposed to change the tone of the wood, so to give you a little coloration, so maybe it accents your room a little differently or better. But the second thing is it shows off the grain. Wood's a beautiful product. I mean, nature. It's natural art, and the grain is what creates the artwork in the wood. So a good stain job will show off the grain pattern to its maximum. Okay, so if you're doing a vertical surface, by the way, this is going to run. It'll run downwards. So obviously what you're going to want to do is put it on a little bit lighter. Don't leave it on quite as long. Okay. So otherwise, if you're on a horizontal surface and you can get everything flat, just flood it. That's great. All right, so I'm going to wipe it off. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, I think this is okay. Yeah, I think it turned out okay. Okay for demonstration purposes. Now, what I did, you see that? Yeah. On this half, I put the conditioner. On this half, I didn't. And you can see, I'm looking at it with you, but you can see the blotches along in here. You can see how along the knots it absorbs stain different, where it doesn't seem to do that over here. So it mellows it out. Okay. It's a little bit lighter, so if you want it darker, you either go to a little darker stain, or you apply a second coat and leave it on a little bit longer. Okay, so softwoods, again, fir, pine, maple, cedar, some say cherry. Those woods accept stain a little differently. Now, here's another tip. When I do a woodworking project, I'll always have scrap pieces laying around. So what I'll do is I'll experiment with scrap pieces. I want to see how the wood accepts the stains, and I want to see how the stain color looks, and etc. So I'll fool around with scrap. If you're refinishing grandma's dresser or something like that, and you don't have scraps, look for a spot where it's kind of hidden and experiment there. Because the longer you leave stain on, what you have to do is start with your vertical surfaces, put the stain on, leave it on until you start to see little dry spots. That's usually when I'll start to take stain off. So if it shows real wet here, but it's soaking up here, as soon as I see that first soak spot, I'll wipe it off. Okay, you can reapply. Manufacturer says you should wait overnight. You don't necessarily have to do that. I think you can put it on right away. I've done it. So, do the vertical surface first and time it. Count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, or with a watch, and see how long you leave it on. Then when you do the horizontal surfaces, put it on the same thickness, but time it as well. Okay? All right. I'm going to do one more thing here. This is a piece of hardwood. Okay, so it's a little different. I'm going to just throw a little bit of stain on there just so you can see. Now, On hardwood, I do not use a pre-stain conditioner. Most of your hardwoods are going to be ash, oak, white and red oak. Those are probably the most common ones that people work with. Walnut, things like that. So I don't use a pre-stain conditioner on them. I never have. You can, doesn't hurt it. But again, I think what it does is if you put the conditioner on, and then work to compare side by side, the grain pattern stands out more if there's no conditioner in there. Again, you can kind of see on here how it soaks in here. Here it doesn't, because what this is a diluted varnish. So what it does is it stops the penetration to some degree. It'll do the same thing on hardwoods. It'll stop the penetration, and what unfortunately what sacrifices in hardwoods is the grain. So I like to leave it on. I like to leave it on without doing the pre-stain conditioner. And I'm going to show you what happens when you do that here. I just want to give it a second. I can see little spots that are starting to soak in, so we're about there. You know, more stain is pretty simple. I mean, I'll lay out some rules for you and some tips. 90% of people don't screw up with the stain; they screw up applying the finish coat. And for most of us, finish coat means polyurethane. I mean, there's shellacs and there's lacquers and there's oils and there's, you know, tung oil and linseed oil and all that other stuff. But the most commonly used one is polyurethane. Polyurethane is a plastic resin, and it goes on real thick. And what happens is if you're not careful with it, it'll bubble, it'll run, it'll puddle. So you get all kinds of bad effects. And 90% of the people who put on polyurethane do it wrong. So here's what I want you to do. I want you, when you're done with this video and you're ready to put your finish coat on, I want you to watch my video, because in my opinion it's the best one out there. It's called Bubble-Free Polyurethane Application Technique. I put it up a year ago, and it's going crazy with, you know, with the number of views that it's getting. So, but make sure you watch that one, because it's kind of a long video. But again, you know, you can't be too careful with the details. So I'm going to wipe this off. It's kind of soaking in now, and I just want to show you. This is good. This is good. Okay, there you go. You see how nice the grain patterns are? How different that is from a soft wood. Okay. So that's why people pay more money for hardwood. The other thing, softwood is soft. I mean, if you scrape a nickel across it, you put a dent in it. On this one, I mean, it'd leave a little mark, but it wouldn't dent the wood, because it is not a soft wood. Well, that's it. I hope you guys learned something. I hope I was not too boring. But listen, do me a favor. I really like your feedback. I'm more than happy to always answer any concerns or comments that you have. Questions, so please do that, and please subscribe, because I did my first video by accident, and it kind of took off, and so I'm kind of liking it, and I'm thinking, you know, I want to leave some stuff for you guys. Okay, so subscribe to me on YouTube. Thanks, guys. Happy woodworking.